we've all this stuff has happened with respect to cybersecurity. Then we have terrorism mixed in together. How are the two related, first of all?
Yeah, a good question. In the past, you used to have more distinction there, terror groups doing things and cyber hackers doing things. Now terrorists are effectively using cyber hacks and attacks as like a type of cyber warfare, and it's very effective, and it can be crippling, as some of the things mentioned before, especially if it's critical infrastructure or things like that that they're targeting, could be devastating.
An awfully basic question, but we talk a lot about attacks on computers, cybersecurity, all this stuff. What is the definition of a cyber attack specifically? Because it's not somebody trying to steal our credit card information. It's much more and much more coordinated than that, right?
Oh, absolutely. It could be something as simple as that, but typically when it's tied in with these terroristic acts, it's really to cause more harm, to cause mass confusion, to make people fear, and especially some of the attacks against U.S. Central Command. Even though it was it was just a Twitter feed and sending messages. It wasn't anything classified or confidential compromise. It was concerning because it sets a precedent and it shows the force that could be done and the potential. So it wakes up people and gets people scared, and that's what they want to do.
Cameron, Obama, if you're in that room with them and the topic comes up, well, what do? Do we need a global police force that would monitor all the global internet connections? Do we need a regional police force? What is a reasonable solution or step one they can take?
Well, it looks like they're starting to take some steps, and probably a little bit too late, unfortunately, in my opinion, but has to be done on a global basis because the internet, everybody has access to it, and it's a global thing, and there's different laws in different countries. So that's number one that's really critical. It has to be on a global effort. They cannot expect companies, though, as Cameron mentioned, to self-monitor. It's going to be a problem with civil liberties, privacy issues. People are going to balk it and say, no way, why should we self-monitor and report this to the government? Especially looking back in the not-too-distant future with the Edward Snowden leaks, the government here doesn't have the best track record. So there's great concern with that. So they have to proceed very cautiously, a balance between privacy and security to be effective. But they have to really more proactively monitor in the dark web, the underground, where the cyber criminals are actually working and trading information and sharing information. The same is true. The U.S. government, the U.K., other countries have to share best practices in place, and they also have to share information when there are threats so they could thwart them immediately.
You're also partially referring to Cameron's proposal here to basically ban sort of the encryption and online applications or online stuff that what they're saying is the police can't read, so we can't have that level of security, which is, I got to say, it's very strange because the police can't read it. Yeah. You're only going to make it easier for more criminals to read it. But in any case, explain what this all means, first of all.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about billions of people around the globe that are using different apps that have levels of encryption for secure communication. Now, if you take that off, first of all, these companies have to rewrite the applications to make them unsecure or less secure so the government could then monitor. That's a big, giant mistake. Nobody's going to go that route. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not even sure why he brought that up, but he's pushing for it. I think some modifications to that will probably come out, and he'll have to change the thought because it doesn't make any sense. And any of the hackers or the cyber threat groups, they can get through encryption. They can work in the underground dark web world and share information and find back doors to these different applications. So they're approaching it completely wrong.
Yeah. Scott,
can't take the approach that they just monitor it.
Scott, you mentioned this earlier, and you say that they, as in Cameron and Obama, are too late to this game, too late to provide additional security. So what are they to do? Well, what really is or could be step one?
Well, certainly they're taking step one. I wish it was done a long time ago, but I'm glad to see that they're doing it. Is it more of a political thing because of elections coming up and other things? Probably the case, and especially just the recent attacks, what happened in France. Certainly they're stepping it up. CENTCOM stepping it up because of all these things. But they got to act immediately, and they got to get other countries on board so they can effectively share this information to stop attacks, and they got to do more proactive monitoring and get more people on board. And that's what they did. They put the word out there. They're trying to hire cybersecurity experts desperately to fill these positions so they can proactively monitor and share this information.
Sounds like they need a lot of things, but a bigger team probably would help.
Yes.
Scott, thank you very
That's
much for
for
joining
sure.
us from New York on that.